it is, just trying to keep pace with the US and so on. Being live, Shweta. So I think we'll wait a minute. And let me just check on the attendees, and then I think we can start with an introduction to you. Give me a minute. Yeah. Okay. Uh, I'm happy to start, Shweta, because the format is such that both of you are talking on the topic, yes,
Right.
and you both have 11 minutes each slot, and
Sure.
a few minutes where I'll introduce you and a few minutes for closure. So I'd like you to make use of all those 11 minutes. So, I'll start with a quick introduction to you. So it's a pleasure to have you here on the WEF 2020, the Digital Summit. Thank you so much for being with us and sharing your views on on personal branding, your BFF. I have to say, I quite like that tagline. We don't look at BFF in the same way, like personal branding, but that was interesting. So for the audience here, Sweta Murarka is heads the global banking COE for HSBC, and she's an award-winning investment banker and business leader, and an all-India rank holder, chartered accountant with 18 years of experience in setting up and leading teams in investment banking, audit, and retail banking across large organizations like HSBC, Goldman Sachs, PwC, and ICICI. Given her achievements at this young age, we couldn't have asked for a better speaker for personal branding. So on to you, Shweta.
Thank you, Ritu, for the wonderful introduction. I am very glad to be speaking on this topic today. In fact, last time when I did a session on this topic, it was thankfully it wasn't virtually at that time, and I was doing it amongst a group of familiar people. So I asked them to kind of write the name of two animals, one with which they identify themselves, the traits of which they identify with themselves, and the second one with which they identify the person sitting next to them. So very interestingly, Ritu, what happened is about 80% of the people said that, they do not resonate with what the person sitting next to them have written about them. And quite a few of them also said that they do not even resonate or identify with, or are not able to understand which animal do they identify with. So it was kind of a fun experiment, but a very interesting revelation that, more often than not, we either don't know who we are, what we stand for, or even if we know that, Ritu, we're not able to translate that in a way so that the perception of who we are kind of, the perception that we are creating of who we are matches with what we are trying to demonstrate, right? Which is the core tenets of personal branding. So that's quite challenging, and that is something that we will touch upon today. In fact, when I was really small, and I used to go with my dad to all these different retail bank branches. And at that time, what stood out to me, I must be about 8 to 9 years old. I thought when I walked for the first time in a HSBC branch, I thought I want to work for this organization. And that thought and that feeling did not change even when I kind of walked in different branches of HSBC. The feeling kind of remained. So I always wondered, what was it about HSBC that at the age of 9, it kind of caught my attention? Maybe it was the consistency of the brand. Maybe it was the way they were dealing with their customers. Maybe it was the professionalism. I don't have a concrete answer to that, but something about HSBC like really stuck with me. Now, when I go to IIMs from where we hire our graduates, we ask them, why do you want to join us? So they give me the same answer. We want to join HSBC for the brand. So years have passed, generations have changed, but the kind of answer that I get remains the same. So that goes a long way to say that brand is kind of eternal, right? Years pass, generations change, but brand kind of stays with you.
True.
So it's very important that since branding is so important, we like really take care of it. But more often than not, people find it very daunting to create a personal brand. They just don't know how to go about that. So today I will break down that into three simple steps for you. So the first step is, you know, very simply self introspection. What is it that you want to portray? What is it that you want to stand out for? What is it that you want to be known for? So, in thinking about that, my personal mantra is to follow a concept called C, to stand out in a sea, stand out relevant in a sea of people that are out there. So, one, I want my brand to be specific. So, the S in the C stands for specific. So let me give example, taking my personal example. So Ritu, you introduced me in a very brilliant way. But if, for example, if someone asked me for an introduction, I could very well say that I'm a senior business leader in the financial services industry and care for diversity. I write, I author a few poems and blogs here and there when I have time. I'm also a chartered accountant. Or I could say that I'm an award-winning investment banker, and I lead a very key vertical for HSBC. My industry is notorious for not having great diversity. I've faced a lot of personal and professional challenges as a woman. That's why I really care about diversity. I've set up the diversity network at HSBC and helped expand it to over 50 countries, more than 48,000 people. I am an All India rank holder chartered accountant, and I'm an author and speaker. I do voice my opinion in various forums and present myself. So obviously, I mean, goes without saying, the way I describe myself in the second wave would perhaps stay with a lot of people. So what is it about the second way that would stay with a lot of people versus the first way? Probably it was specific. So the first way, the way I explained myself, it was very specific. The way I described myself, it was very generic. And maybe there are more people like me out there. And is that we all know that people identify their I can tell you that I have faced a lot of personal challenges due to which I care about diversity. Perhaps that kind of resonated with all the other people, or a lot of other women in the room, and that they would have faced similar challenge or whatever. So there is an emotional quotient in my introduction. And then the A stands for authenticity. So the fact that I set up the diversity network and took all the efforts to expand it to so many different countries really talks about the fact that I really, really do care about the cause, right? So there has to be an element of authenticity as well in your brand, right? So that is very important to me. And that is a key mantra that I use to build any brand for that matter. So, and the second tenet. So once you've done the self introspection, self reflection by using the C tenets, you need to tell a story. And so how do you tell a story? You tell a story by using all your social media handles, by putting yourself out there, by telling everything about you in all the platform forums that you can, which is very, very, very important. But what is also important that you tell the story through your actions. Now, for example, if I tell you that I care for diversity and I do not have enough senior women leaders in my management team, would you kind of trust me? Would you believe me? Would you trust in my brand? Would you like really place your bet on who I am? Probably not, because you have to walk the talk. So that is the second important tenet of building a brand. Third is that you have to do that consistently. So if I tell a story, I have to do that consistently. So when we talk about brands, how can we get away without talking about Apple and Steve Jobs, right? That is the brand that kind of stays on top of everyone's mind. So let me share a small story. When a prototype of iPod was kind of created and given to Steve Jobs, he said, "This does not sync in with our brand. I'm not going to launch it." So the engineer said, what is the problem? It is power packed and it is super powerful. That's what we stand for. He said, we also stand for, small devices, simplicity, minimalism, which is not reflected because this prototype is really huge. And he dropped, the engineer said it cannot be made any smaller than what it is today. So he dropped that in a bucket of water, and there were air bubbles coming out of the iPod. And he said, look, there is space. We can make it more compact. So you better do that. And then there was a next version of the iPod. So what I'm trying to say is Apple in every product stands for consistency. Again, sharing a personal example, over the course of last 4 months, we've been in this lockdown situation, and it's been like really hectic managing work, home, office, been really busy. So it's very easy for me to forget that, one part of my brand is, being the author, a speaker, speaking in various forums, writing blogs, articles. I could easily drop that ball, right? But I choose not to, because I think it is very important to be consistent, and consistency kind of maintains your brand. On a lighter note, it's much like losing weight, right? It's difficult to lose weight, but once kind of you've lost it, it's easier to maintain. Fourthly, it's important to seek feedback. Now, going back to my first example, where we did that fun experiment, right? People did not resonate with the perception that the other person had of them. So sometimes our actions like really do not drive what we are actually trying to talk about, yes, ourselves, or the brand that we are trying to create, or the perception that we're trying to generate. So it is important to seek out a friend, a confidant, or someone that who will be non-biased and who will tell you what you bring to the table, what you project, who are you known for, and then match that with the actions, match that with what you want to portray, what image do you want to give out. And once you think that those are in sync, you're successful. Otherwise, you need to tweak, say, a few actions here and there to make sure that you synced up with the image or brand that you're trying to create. So I'll take a pause there, and then I'll come back later, Ritu, if there are any questions.
Yes, thanks, Shweta. That was really nice. What I liked is that it's not so theoretical what you shared. You've given us actionable points. I mean, by the end of this session, if I go back and do these 4 things, I just already feel confident that I could now work towards a personal brand. So thank you for that. It's been very interesting. At this moment, maybe I'd also like to announce that the WEF 2020 is conferring on you an iconic Women Leader Making the World a Better Place award for all that you have been doing, both in your role as a corporate role, as well as, creating a better world for people. So thank you so much. We're so proud of a all Bangalore member taking on this award. So thank you so much. Please stay on. I will chat
Thank you very much.
with Ines also. On the topic. Ines, we're going to have your perspective, but before that, let me take a moment and introduce you. Ladies, Ines Nasri. Ines is a technology optimist. I have to say, I've heard that word for the first time, Ines. It's very interesting. You'll elaborate. But yes, a technology optimist, a trainer, an international speaker, and digital marketing specialist from France. Digital Technologies Woman of the Year, pioneer and expert for more than 12 years in digital strategy and innovations, IT engineer, graduate in innovation management, and a serial entrepreneur. And Ines belongs to the few top digital experts and trainers that are always exploring the use of cutting edge technologies in digital transformation and professional training. So we are excited to hear from you how technology is now going to help me to a large extent work on my personal brand, which is also quite the challenge today because it's such a competitive and busy, noisy world. How do we stand out? So over to you.
Absolutely.
Please do share.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you very much for this presentation. I really enjoyed it. Thank you very much. My point is that I would like to raise awareness around having your personal brand, because I see people, I talk to people around the world. I have clients in different countries. I speak a lot in different countries, and I train people, and I'm an MBA teacher as well. I teach in the American University of North Africa as well. So I meet a lot of people and students as well, and business owners. And actually, a lot of them think that having a personal brand is not something that is important for them. They think that this is something that only few people need to have, and they don't. They're not aware that this is not a good to have thing. Actually, it's a must have thing. And right. And let me just tell you why it is in today's world. It's so important, absolutely important for everyone. And I mean it. And I really want to emphasize on that. Everyone needs to take care of her or his personal brand. And the reason why is that, just like you said it, and I really love it when you talked about the noise. There's so much going on in the world. We are living in a world where in a watch me world. You see what I mean? Everyone wants to be seen. Everyone wants to show what he or she has to say, and show different capabilities. And social media contributed actually a lot to this phenomenon. And in a world like that, it's a lot of noise. And the only way, according to me, to stand out of the crowd, whether you are a student, a business owner, a teacher, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter what you do. The only way that is gonna help you stand out of the crowd is your personal brand. And I wanna go here and explain in details. So some people think that your personal brand is a kind of very fancy thing, you know, and you need to have a lot of money to create this brand, which is not true, which is not absolutely, it's absolutely wrong. What I say to my students, whether they're MBA students or, you know, students in graduate students, is that the sooner you start working on your personal brand, the sooner you are aware that your personal brand can become actually your first money maker, the better it is for you. Because like let's talk about the jobs of the future. Let's talk about the job market in the future and how it is gonna change with all the technology that we're seeing and the digital transformation that was accelerated by this pandemic. We can easily see that the future of work is going to be made of automation, artificial intelligence, and we're going to rely a lot on technology. So actually, a lot of people think that the human factor is not going to be very important because we're going to rely more and more on technology. Actually, I think that this is going to be completely the opposite. The human factor is going to be really, really important, because that's your added value as human. That's what technology cannot do. Your personality, your experience, your skills, your values, that is gonna make you different from any given technology at any given time. And this is when I tell to my students, and I want all our attendees also in this amazing event to be aware of that. The sooner you're gonna take care of your personal brand, the better it's for you, because it's gonna open amazing opportunities for you. It's gonna help you raise your voice and be heard when it's very crowded. It doesn't matter what is your industry. It doesn't matter where you come from. You can be a student, you can be a lawyer, a doctor, you can be a politician, you can be, it doesn't matter. You need to take care of your personal brand, because you know, jobs come and go, companies come and go, careers come and go, but your personal brand is something that is gonna stick with you forever. That's why my presentation, I named it your personal brand as your BFF, like your best friend forever, because it's gonna stick with you forever. And the more you take care of it, like Soeda says, the more you're gonna develop it through being genuine, through being authentic, and persistent and consistently showing your values, the more it's going to be memorable. You're going to become more searchable, okay, and memorable, and the more you're going to take care of your brand, the more opportunities are going to open up for you, and the more you're going to be able to make impact on the world with your knowledge, with your values, and sharing with people. So that's my main point here. I really want to everyone that is listening to us to, you know, do this introspection and ask yourself, am I really taking care of my personal brand? Am I aware of how important it is for me? And then you take it from there, and then you do this introspection. And I mean, trust me, if you do this in the few coming year, your brand is going to be one, let's not say the biggest money maker for you, but at least one of your money makers.
Sure. Great. Thank you so much, Ines. We have a few minutes. I'd like to reach out to the attendees watching to us. If you'd like to ask any questions, I'm happy to take one question for both the ladies. But, you know, to sum up, I'd like to say what I'm taking home from what you've shared, Ines, is that you know, it's a burning question these days. Is technology going to replace the human touch? But what you've just beautifully answered is no. When there's going to be everybody using technology, it is your human touch that needs to stand you out, you know, and that's what's going to really
Absolutely.
make I think you've shared that beautifully. I couldn't have you know, the way you put it together, it really resonates with me, and I'm sure a lot of you know, youngsters will understand technology is in its place. I get asked this question very often in my hospitality career. You know, I ran hotels, I used to operate hotels, and I'm constantly asked, well, is technology going to take over the face-to-face human interactions? But you cleared that doubt for me so beautifully. Thank you so much, Ines and Sweta. It's been a very interesting session with you both. I am for a second going to check if we've got any questions. Ladies, give me a minute.
That's why I remember when you presented me, you said the first time you hear technology optimist, remember?
Yes, yes, yes.
That's why I like.
Yes.
That's why I like to call myself that way. I love technology, but I'm really optimistic about it, not replacing humans, but helping them to grow and be better, and makes their lives easier, actually.
You
that's
see
the point.
You're supplementing it, but not replacing it. And that's the optimism. That's brilliant. You know, I may have misread it. I thought maybe only technology, and that's why the optimism, but you're saying the other way around. So,
right.
So good, really lovely. So thank you, ladies. And Ines, I'd also like to confer on you on behalf of WEF 2020, the iconic Women Leader Award, Making the World a Better Place. So thank you so much for all that you do. And it was a privilege having the two of you here, sharing your views on personal branding, BFF. I just mentioned that to Sweta earlier. I thought it was interestingly worded. So thank you so much, ladies. And if you'd like to stay, you're welcome, or you could leave and watch us. We're entering our next session with the other two ladies.
Right. Thank you for having me. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Ritu. It was great speaking to you. And thank you, Ines. It was wonderful knowing you as well.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care.
Hello, Priya, and hello, Dr. Mrs. Ajay. How are you? Hi. You're on mute. Yes, you've come on.
Hello.
Hello, ma'am. Hello, Dr. Professor.
Good evening.
Good evening. I'm Ritu, and I'm going to be your moderator this evening. And I'd like to welcome both of you to the first ever Digital Women Economic Forum, Bangalore 2020. Thank you for joining us. Professor, I'm hoping you can hear us, and you know, we are able to. You're on mute. We are not able to hear you, but we're able to see you. Yes. Okay. Great, great. So the way this is formatted is we have 25 minutes. I will be giving both of you 11 minutes each to talk, one after the other. I'll do a quick introduction and then a quick closure. If we do have time, we would like to take any questions and answers that are posted by our attendees. I will keep a watch for that. And if we have time permitting, we might take one or two questions. So should we start with you, Ms. Priya? Maybe I will start a quick introduction.
Okay, doctor, professor, is that okay with you?
Yeah, it is fine with me, ma'am. No issues.
Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Ajay.
Okay, great. Thank you, Professor and Doctor. So a quick introduction, not taking too much of your time away. Ms. Priya Dikshit is a multifaceted person and has worked in diverse roles in the finance and marketing functions at leading corporates in the past, prior to her starting her career in education. At AAIS, she leads the school leadership team. Today, we have her along with Professor Dr. Mrs. Ajay Sareen are going to chat with us on adaptive leadership, journey in a new system. So without much ado, may I request you, ma'am, to share your views on the subject.
Namaste from Chennai. I think today even the word namaste, unprecedented, new normal, infodemic, they've all become such common usage post the COVID-19 that has made the world really sit upright and start noticing things around our behavior, our lifestyle, our choices, our attitude, our relationships, and every other aspect. Problems and issues have always existed, but today we are viewing it with a new lens. We are starting to perceive it in the new light. And I think we've also been hearing so many stories that are coming up from across the world on how people have actually started to address these problems and issues. And I think what is coming out in this whole thing is that there has been some new learning, there has been new capabilities that are being delivered, and that is actually what adaptive leadership brings out as we go on. In the next few minutes, I'd like to share what has happened with us at school and how did we go about facing this and gearing ourselves. One of the first things that I realized as the head of school over here is that this problem of running a school is pretty much common across the world. There is not much of a difference in any of this, but the pandemic did rock our scenario too. March, April was a little bit turbulent for us because it was not about moving into just the online learning, but to look at a virtual learning platform where the engagement and learning was still the key. And when I look at how did we address the issues, they can largely be classified as either technical or adaptive. And when I say technical issues, they are more in terms of timetabling, access to gadgets, the amount of screen time that we have, allocation of the subjects, and so on. Whereas in the adaptive issues, I would say like it's looking at how does academic honesty work today? What kind of assessments are we going to give? Can well-being still be at the core of what we want to do for our entire community? And why is this called adaptive? Because I think as technical issues, they are much more simpler, they are easily identifiable, and we already have the in-house expertise to face them. But you look at these adaptive issues, they are a little more complex, and it involves us not just sitting away from where the core problem exists and trying to solve it at the back doors as a leadership team. It is about allowing that new learning to emerge. And what is really very different in such issues is that where the core problem actually arises, that's where the solution lies as well. So as the leaders, as the program coordinators or heads, it is not the issues that we own. The ownership of the same challenges and issues are actually with the teaching team in our scenario. So I believe that leadership is dynamic. It is an activity rather than it being a position or a set of personal characteristics. And part of the role is to develop and nurture the other leaders in the organization here as well. And that's when you see that shift that happens. So for me, it was about creating conditions. It was about allowing people to solve the problems that actually happened with them in their own classrooms. So if I was to look at what were some of the things that we did look at, the first was to create a curious environment, an environment where we could discuss, debate, hear the voices of everybody over there. We celebrated small wins. Even some of our newer teachers actually contributed to a lot of ideas. And it is about recognizing them in those meetings. It is about taking that idea and converting it into a workable solution that helped. So curious environment is something that we completely nurture at school, and that is very important. When you have this non-judgmental environment, how does that happen in an organization? For us, the key is about building trust. Trust in every stakeholder, every teacher over here. And for me, when we build trust, it is about managing the boundaries. It is about managing the discomfort. It is about managing the conflict. And all along, sustaining the positive improvements that are happening within the school. And with the trust, as you build the trust in them, you start providing a very holding environment for them. So when I say a holding environment, which I say is probably the step 3 in this whole thing, is about, you can compare it to the mom and child relationship that exists, right? In the developmental years, where the mom is constantly providing support to the child, enabling the child to persist even during the difficult challenges. So that is the holding environment that we as leaders have to do. When we did say that one of the biggest challenges was to look at how is it that we're going to manage the screen time, this sudden over dependency on the digital platform for everybody. We had a brilliant idea that came about, which was the digital detox weekend. So our new calendar had 3 to 4 days off with every 3 weeks of working plan that we had. So this allowed the well-being team to come up with very creative ideas for the whole family. There was a lot of ideas that were suggested, so that there was also that social emotional connect that we build within the family, that the relationship between the parent and the child also existed or also was developed without much of a dependency on the digital gadgets per se. So I think with this holding environment that you provide, the team started to come up with various ideas. And this weekend is actually the digital detox weekend, and it's the weekend of games. So the different games that have been given right from our kindergarten to grade 12 is something really amazing. So, and we've put that up on our website so that a lot more of people can go back and access and enjoy these things over here. Coming from the holding environment per se, how is it that as a leader, you go ahead and you build that vertical bonds of trust, the horizontal bonds of trust, which is so important for an organization, so that the new learning can be developed and the new learning can be taken back into your school. And right through this, you do have conflicts that will arise. This is the state of disequilibrium. This is the disruptive disequilibrium, which is good. I would say conflicts are good because it brings that critical thinking in there. It brings the debate about the issues. It's not about the person, but it's about the issue. And when you have the trust that is built in, you know that you can address these conflicts and that emerges. And as a leader, you just need to keep providing that trust, that confidence, that holding environment, and the curious environment is being sustained constantly. Right now, we are sitting at a point of time when interim report cards, when semester exams are around the corner. So we know that the teams are asking us a lot of questions, and these questions, they hold the answer as well. So it is not about me providing a solution there as a leader. I'm leading there by just asking them the questions, allowing their minds to think, their possibilities to come out. So once you start providing them that opportunity to answer, opportunity to share their thoughts, that becomes a greater environment when there are positive changes that can happen. And ultimately, I completely believe it is about the art of letting go. And I'd like to quote Anne Landers over here, quote, some people believe holding on and hanging in there are the signs of great strength. However, there are times when it takes much more strength to know when to let go and then do it as well. So, unquote. So, micromanaging does not work at all. When part of the role of us as leaders in a team is to develop the other leaders within the team, it is about the art of letting go. It is about allowing that trust to be there. The team over here definitely are the ones who are at the forefront, who are fighting these issues day in and day out. And it is only about allowing them to have that mutual dependency to get these answers from their own teams. So we created these smaller cluster groups. They started to support each other. They started to answer the questions of each other. And for me, the biggest thing that I wanted out of this cluster group is that the other program coordinators, our grade level coordinators, and our principals are released of some time into getting into these nitty-gritty issues because they had far more complex problems to start working on. So that beautifully worked in our school. This whole idea of distributed leadership, allowing the emergence of sociograms that helps in creating our own guiding coalitions, our circles of influence. I think that has started to emerge in the last few months, and it is so important for us at Akshara Goal. So if I was to quickly recap what I've said, it's about providing a curious environment. Trust is the key. We have to use it at every instance. The third is create a holding environment and a nurturing environment. Lead by questions. You don't have to provide answers at every stop. And letting go and allowing an enabling culture to develop. And if I may add that one mantra that has probably worked for me is that I believe adaptive leadership is changing the heart, the mind, and the behavior. It is not about generating dependency, but I believe it is about generating and building capacity. And those are my thoughts, and thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Our complete pleasure, ma'am. Today, I think I have to say this, and I'm sure I'm talking on behalf of a few other women. You know, somewhere we've always thought of adaptive leadership, always from a corporate standpoint. You know, you just somehow believe that some of the best of examples will come out from there. But I have to say that I'm absolutely enlightened by what you're sharing that's happening at a school level. The kind of words you chose, academic honesty, I mean, the thought of trust, and some of this is really, I think will be new to a lot of us. While we do understand that the challenge that the whole education system is currently facing in the times that we are in, you know, somehow we always see it from this side, right? We haven't seen it from your perspective. I mean, I know all the moms are complaining, the children are sitting at home, we have to deal with them, they're always on the computer and stuff. But look at the other side. You've really opened our eyes into really saying, what's the journey in this new system? I mean, this is here to stay, I think, for a while. And
Absolutely.
you know, yeah, and the choice of the distributed leadership, such a strong fundamental, you know, because ultimately you can't micromanage everything. And so thank you so much. That was really personally, I've learned a lot. Thank you so much, and I'm sure the others have as well. And please stay on, ma'am. I will now invite Professor Dr. Mrs. Ajay. Ma'am, welcome to our first ever digital WEF Bangalore 2020. I'm going to give a small introduction to you before you start. So, Professor is the principal of Hans Raj Mahila Mahavidyalaya, India. She is an extremely highly educated professional. I think time would run out to share all that you have educated yourself on. And there are so many positions of responsibility that you have held in academics that I'm only going to give this as a small introduction. Please do share a little more about yourself if you would like, and we'd love to hear your perspective on the same topic of adaptive leadership.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to talk to lot many females. I think I can see males also, but the number of females is outnumbering. So a very good evening to all the viewers.
Good evening.
I would like to start from where Madam Priya left.
Right.
Who are the leaders? Who are the leaders and what is their role? And what exactly we are going to talk about adaptive leadership. There is a famous quote, we dream, we do, we achieve. And it is only because of the leaders. Leaders are those persons who do not rule over the masses, but they rule over the hearts of the masses. It is only because they are concerned about their well-being. They are aware about the latest changes which are taking place in the society. Those changes are very challenging, but it is because of their persuasion, it is because of their motivation, it is because of their inspiration that they rule over the hearts of the masses. Today, I'm not going to talk about all kinds of leadership or styles of leadership or something like that, but I'm going to focus only on adaptive leadership in the new scenario, in this COVID-19 scenario. So many new things have propped up during this COVID-19, and it has basically given us a new normal way of living life. How quickly we have adapted to these changes, that is basically going to be the focus of our talk today. As I'm from education field and Madam Priya talked about the changing scenario in the school education, let me continue with the same thing by saying that it has changed the scenario of education at the higher education institute levels too. You know, gone are the times when we used to have a teacher and a student interaction in the classroom. It has all been it has all been changed into webinars and online teaching. And to begin with, you know, this online teaching was really fascinating. These webinars were really fascinating. But with the passage of time, you know, hats off to our younger generation. They have evolved different methods, how they can escape the notice of their teachers during their online classes. The moms, you know, the moms, you rightly said, Ritu ma'am, the moms are having a tough time dealing with the children at home. The same is the concern of the teachers, you know, also. Because in the classrooms, they were able to monitor their working. In the classrooms, there was one-to-one interaction. But online, you just register yourself, you just switch off your screen, you are muted, and for rest of the hour or 40 minutes, where you are, nobody knows about that. Now here comes the role of the teacher. Here comes the role of the new leader, you know, who is going to keep you in your class all 45 minutes. You know, with the passage of time, the teachers, they discovered new methods, they invented new technology, and now after every 15 minutes, they are having small quiz in their online class. And that makes it mandatory for the student to stay tuned with that. Now, this is one example of adaptive leadership. Let us say, when I'm talking about online classes, no doubt, in the beginning, the infrastructure in the schools, in the colleges, in higher education institutions, that was not up to the mark that we could have those online classes. And these words like WebEx, GoToMeeting, Zoom, they have evolved out of these practical situations. These practical but challenging situations. The challenge here is to have a perfect kind of infrastructure so that we can promote online teaching. But the challenge is also there at the level of, you can say, lower middle income group families too. Because if there are 3 children in the family, it means that they need to have a Wi-Fi connection, they need to have 3 mobile phones, they need to have laptops or tabs, so that all the children simultaneously can have their classes. Now here comes the role of a leader. Here comes the role of a teacher who is the leader of the situation. And this has again given us the possibility to have ELMS centers where we can have these recorded lectures, where we can put these lectures, and the children at their convenience, they can listen to those lectures. So what I'm hinting at is that the challenging situations, they demand all our attention, and it is only when those challenging situations are understood in the right perspective by the leaders that the solutions emerge. If we are talking on a superficial platform, then even if we understand the problem, but if we are understanding it only at a superficial level, perhaps not understanding the practical realities, practical problems, we will not be able to suggest solutions. So this is basically the role of a true leader. This is the role of a true teacher who is the leader in the class. Let us take the example of medical stream. Medicine, medication. Now gone are the times when, you know, we used to go to an MBBS doctor for all our ailments. It is the time of specialization. The specializations have further taken a backseat, and now it is the mobile medication. New things, new challenges, they are emerging every day. Okay. Let us think day 1 of our lockdown in the country. We were all apprehensive how this 15 days of lockdown or 3 weeks of lockdown is going to go. We were all apprehensive whether we shall be wearing the mask and how the things move on. But with the persuasion of our leaders, with the inspiration, motivation of the head of the family, in the family, we were able to hold on with the family members inside our houses for such a long period. A new normal has emerged out of this situation, a challenge. And we have practically now adapted ourselves to this particular condition. Let us take the example of agriculture. Gone are the days, you know, when farmers used to put so many pesticides and this and that. Now the new scene has emerged and we are back to organic farming. What I'm trying to hint at is that challenges basically, they determine how the leaders are going to pave path if they really are the leaders in the true sense. Taking all these examples into consideration and also keeping in mind the time limit, 2-3 things I would like to say here is that adaptive leaders have authority, but at the same time, they should be ethical in their behavior. They should be ethical. If I'm to talk about COVID-19, they should be ethical in such a manner that the masks are not sold in black marketing. So ethics has to be something very important. They have to build trust in the people for themselves, and then only they will have their followers. They have to be transparent and they have to understand their responsibility. And if I am to sum up the entire thing, I would say that they have to be role models. They have to be role models so that people follow them, so that people listen to them. And this will come only when they have a value system of their own, only when they have a character of their own, only when they have professional ethics of their own. So adaptive leadership is an act of mobilizing a group of individuals through times of challenge by showing them, by emerging as a role model for them, by having trust in them, and vice versa. by having them have trust in your capability also. You know, a person will follow you only. A child comes to a mother because the child has trust in mother. The child, you know, when you have come across, ma'am, small examples, you know, when a child falls, you know, falls in the house or while playing, the first thing that he goes to his coach, because he has a faith in that coach, in his teacher. Then he comes to the mother because he has faith in mother. Similarly, you know, the leaders must make masses have faith in them, that they are the persons who are going to rescue, who are going to pull them throughout the challenges, and they will be a support to them. So, not taking much time, let us be leaders in the true sense of the word. Let us have that kind of a personality, that let us be the role models for the people, so that people may have trust in you, people may share the things with you, and then only you can pull them out of the challenges, you can pull them out of the difficult situations. So, not taking much time, Madam Priya and Madam Ritu, thank you so very much for giving such a patient hearing, such a patient listening. And my thank you to Women Economic Forum for organizing this largest global gathering of women and entrepreneurships worldwide. Thank you so very much, Ma'am Ritu. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. This was lovely. Priya ma'am has shared some thoughts. Ma'am, would you like to share? You've written them down on the chat. I don't know if Professor has seen it, but maybe I can read it out. It says, Doctor, teachers are the leaders in certain contexts too. And I'd say that, you know, like you said, the first leader maybe you meet at home is your parents, but the next most important people you look up to while you're growing up is your teachers. That is your first, contact with leadership. And what really, the first thought that comes into my mind, and like in Hindi we say choti muh badi baat, but the feeling that the children of this country are in very good hands, you know, it just makes me so proud to say that, you know, educationists like you are really walking the talk, talking about such important factors like ethics, trust, academic honesty. And I felt that both of you, sitting in different parts of the country, are pretty much have similar vision for what leadership through the school and education system should be. So I thought that was very enlightening. We have quite a few attendees watching us. Give me a minute while I check if there are any questions for us on this forum, because we do have a few minutes to get on.
Just to add on to this thought, as you're checking out the questions, I think it's about seizing the moment. I think many of our teachers are now, in spite of the fact that they are completely exposed in the virtual world, it isn't easy for them as well, but they are making that effort to seize that moment. And we are only as leaders just giving them that cushioning from the back to say, yes, it is fine. Go ahead and feel brave enough to put it over there. It's of course the learning that can't be compromised. And,
Lovely. I don't have any questions. We have 5 more minutes. If there's anything, Priya ma'am and Professor, you'd like to engage on or share any more?
Yes. One thing that I would like to mention here, Ritu ma'am, is that sometimes, you know, when you are in a process of change, sometimes, you know, you need to have patience, so that the process of change, you know, that takes a complete turn. It is very difficult to initiate the change, but when the ball is rolling, you know, definitely that will be a smooth sailing. But in the beginning, you know, a leader needs to have lots and lots and lots of patience.
Yes, and love and patience. I think love and patience. Our Dr. Harbeen also says the same, leadership with love and patience. Yes.
Yes. And I think the females, you know, whether that female is a leader or a teacher or a mother or in a corporate sector, with due apologies to the male counterparts in the corporate sector, they are the epitome of patience. They are the epitome of sincerity, hard work, love, and care. I don't say that these attributes are not there in males, but if we are to make a comparison, perhaps these attributes are on a higher side in the females. This is a God-given gift.
Yes.
This is a God-given gift.
Yes.
And you know,
I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree, Dr. Ajay, because I believe that women are great leaders and managers, right? And seizing that opportunity to step forward. Very well said. I absolutely agree.
And one thing more that I would like to mention here is that women have capacity of multitasking too.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely.
Yes, they have the capacity of multitasking, and that is the reason, you know, they are able to amalgamate the role of a homemaker as well as a working woman.
Correct.
The women are the mothers, they are the wives, they are the corporate managers, they are the teachers. They take care of the home as well as their working place. So they have that capacity of multitasking. And again, it is a gift of a God.
Yes.
That is the reason, you know, children, they would always go by the advice of the mother first. They are more closer to the mothers.
Right.
This is something that has been a blessing for the females, and it is only and only because of these factors, you know, that they are able to have that kind of the trust in the children, whether at home, whether at school. Right. Trust of the employees when they are leaders. So all these things, they must be kept in mind. And ma'am, Priya ma'am, they should become a mandatory part of our value system also. Because, you know, the children who are coming to us at the college level, they have certain values, you know, which have been ingrained into their personality, which they have inculcated in their personality from the very beginning.
Just to add over there, ma'am, it's as much as the schools do, it's always a partnership.
Yeah.
Again, that's the trust that we have to build with our own parent community. And it's always a joint partnership that nurtures the child. It's never one or the other. Yeah.
And I usually say, you know, because God could not be everywhere, so he created mothers. And because mothers could not be everywhere, so there is a community called teachers.
Beautifully ended, ma'am. Beautiful. Yes, it's absolutely true. And on a high note, I'd like to say that the WEF 2020 is privileged to confer on you two lovely ladies in this education system the iconic Women Leader Creating a Better World for All award. The awards, please give yourself a hand. In today's times, it's a small room we're in. It should have been with a larger audience, maybe, but we are so privileged that our education system is in good hands. And your awards will reach you by soft copy in a week's time. And thank you so much for such an engaging conversation. It was an eye-opener. I'm sure a lot of mothers and ladies watching both will learn what's happening in our system from your perspective, the education system from your perspective. And this insight into adaptive leadership was really enlightening. So thank you so much. Have a lovely day. Thank you for being here.
Nice meeting you all here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.